agents next year. There's a lot of other shit going on that players are like, this ain't where I want to be.
Let's set the stage. In recent months, a once familiar voice in our basketball commentary community, Sport Pulse, had been making waves with her predictions about the Indiana Fever. She was all too eager to remind everyone about supposed issues in the Fever's locker room, insisting that top free agent talent would never be attracted to the franchise.
What it do, peeps? Sheryl Swoopes is been missing. Sheryl Swoopes is MIA. They got a APB out for Sheryl Swoopes. If you see Sheryl Swoopes,
According to Sport Pulse's previous takes, the team's culture was toxic. The environment was unwelcoming, and no superstar would ever set foot in Indiana if they truly knew what was going on behind the scenes. Fast forward to today, and the narrative has done a complete 180. Indiana Fever has not only silenced those naysayers, but has rewritten the playbook on free agency in the WNBA. In one of the most impressive free agency runs in league history, the Fever have snapped up a roster of elite players, leaving little room for doubt that their championship window is now wide open.
Indiana Fever, the locker room environment, how people didn't want to play there, how people wanted to leave.
Sheryl Swoopes is absolutely losing it. She stood tall, puffed out her chest, and declared with full confidence.
The irony is thick. Sport Pulse, who once confidently predicted that neither Caitlin Clark nor the Fever could land top-tier talent, now finds her credibility in tatters as the Fever continue to build a super team that has fans and opponents buzzing. A few months back, Sport Pulse was vocal about her concerns regarding the Indiana Fever's ability to attract marquee free agents. In a series of impassioned rants,
we're like, y'all.
That's not my point. There's a lot of other shit going on that players are like, this ain't where I want to be.
Over there.
She argued that the locker room culture was so marred by internal strife that no established player, no matter how accomplished, would willingly join the team. With plenty of bravado, Sport Pulse insisted that the Fever's self-proclaimed problem would keep top names at bay. Her rhetoric was peppered with phrases like, "No one wants to be there," and "the environment is a breeding ground for mediocrity." But as the free agency period unfolded, it became glaringly obvious that the Fever's internal issues were more myth than reality.
Yeah. Some
So
new
that's,
shit's
it's
going
a
on
lot.
around there.
It's a lot. So you have players that are very significant on this Indiana Fever team that are like, I don't.
Instead of a crisis, the Fever emerged as a magnet for talent. Contracts were inked, and the once derided franchise suddenly boasted a roster that could be described as nothing less than a dynasty in the making. Elite free agents who had long been associated with other teams, or even left on the trading block, now saw Indiana as the ultimate destination, an opportunity to join a winning culture and build something historic.
White came in and said, okay, hold up. Let me go to Indeed.com and Indeed get some free agents to come in here that want to play, that are accomplished, seasoned veterans.
One need only look at the impressive signings to understand the magnitude of this turnaround. Among the new recruits were seasoned veterans and rising stars alike, all ready to complement the dynamic play of franchise cornerstone Caitlin Clark. And speaking of Caitlin Clark, the narrative surrounding her has been nothing short of revolutionary. Once, critics, including Sport Pulse, insisted that it would take her years to adjust to the WNBA's pace and physicality. Now she is lighting up scoreboards and setting records with a nonchalant ease that leaves doubters reeling. Imagine the scene. While Sport Pulse was busy insisting that the Fever's free agency prospects were doomed by internal discord,
Sheryl could be choking on Crow right now. She need that Heimlich maneuver. If you see Sheryl Swoopes, tell her it's okay to come out and talk and say, man, you was wrong.
the Fever's front office was out there methodically piecing together a roster that reads like a who's who of elite basketball talent. Players such as Natasha Howard, the defensive dynamo known for her shot-blocking prowess, Danana Bonner, a 6'4" forward with an unmatched scoring ability and versatility, and Sophie Cunningham, whose on-court swagger and flair have turned heads and ignited Twitter wars, all signed on with the Fever.
Was actually the first person she hit up because they built a bond here, playing AU for the last 3 years. She said she heard some good things about Caitlin Clark from her Aces teammate Kate Martin as well, so that made the decision easy.
Even Sydney Colson, a name synonymous with locker room leadership and contagious energy, decided that Indiana was the perfect place to reinvigorate her career. It's almost cinematic. Just a few months ago, Sport Pulse was seen as the voice of caution, warning fans about the pitfalls of Indiana's supposed internal strife.
In your career, would you consider each of those 3 seasons as dominant seasons for yourself?
No.
Now, as the Fever celebrate one successful signing after another, her earlier assertions have become the equivalent of a cautionary tale, one that is as ironic as it is instructive. Let's delve deeper into the free agency bonanza that has rocked the league. Indiana Fever's front office didn't just sign a few players. They orchestrated a masterclass in talent acquisition that has everyone rethinking how to build a championship contender in today's WNBA. When the ink dried on those contracts, it was clear that the Fever were not simply looking for pieces to patch up a roster. They were assembling a complete puzzle designed to dominate the league. Sport Pulse, who once was a staunch critic of the team's ability to attract top free agents, is now witnessing a parade of signings that directly contradict her earlier claims.
Bro, Sheryl Swoopes is willing to lie about her own career before she even admits that Caitlin...
It's a bittersweet pill for critics like Sport Pulse. The same voice that once doubted Clark's ability to thrive in the professional arena now finds itself on the back foot, forced to acknowledge that the player they once pegged as a work in progress is, in fact, the needle, no, the very fabric of modern women's basketball.
Destination, and I can't help but laugh to the fans and the people online and the media commentators, unfortunately, who said that nobody wanted to play in Indiana. That doesn't...
And when you watch her in action, gliding past defenders, sinking impossible shots, and orchestrating plays with a level of maturity that belies her age, it becomes crystal clear that the old guard's skepticism was nothing more than an expression of outdated thinking. The overarching narrative here is one of transformation. For years, the Indiana Fever was regarded by some as a secondary storyline in the grand theater of the WNBA, a team mired in mediocrity, a mere afterthought in the league's narrative.
People say that Caitlin Clark moves the needle. That is wrong. She is the needle. She dictates. We all know what she's done on the floor. It's history, right? But off the floor,
Critics, including Sport Pulse in her earlier days, would remind fans that no top-tier free agent would sign with a team plagued by locker room drama and a questionable internal culture. Yet the Fever have not only overcome those perceptions, they've obliterated them. The free agency period has been nothing short of revolutionary. With each marquee signing, Indiana has sent a clear message. This is not a team to be dismissed, but rather one that is poised to dominate for years to come. The fact that seasoned veterans and established stars are now choosing Indiana over other, supposedly more attractive destinations is a testament to the Fever's renewed vision and commitment to excellence. Take Natasha Howard, for example.
Even further, when a game that Sheryl Swoopes was calling for the Dallas Wings, where the commentator was talking about how great Caitlin Clark had been playing, Sheryl Swoopes, silent for 60 seconds.
Known for her tenacious defense and consistent scoring ability, Howard's arrival in Indiana is more than just a signing. It's a statement. In a league where defensive prowess is as highly valued as offensive firepower, Howard's presence elevates the team to a new level of competitiveness. Her reputation as a defensive stalwart and reliable bucket getter brings balance to a roster that is already bursting with offensive talent. Then there's Danana Bonner, a player whose skill set defies traditional positional expectations. Standing tall at 6'4" and possessing a combination of finesse and strength, Bonner is the kind of mismatch nightmare that every opposing coach fears. Her ability to score from anywhere on the floor, paired with a willingness to engage in physical battles,
dress it. And it got so bad that the game that Dallas then went to play against the Indiana Fever and Caitlin Clark after the domination of the Chicago Sky, Sheryl Swoopes got pulled from the rod.
Makes her a perfect complement to the Fever's fast-paced, high-energy style of play. And let's not overlook Sophie Cunningham. With her infectious swagger and willingness to engage in a bit of trash talk, Cunningham has quickly become a favorite, not just among Fever fans, but also among basketball purists who appreciate a player with both flair and substance. In recent days, Cunningham even found herself embroiled in a Twitter spat with critics who had previously doubted the team's direction, a digital battle that underscored just how much the narrative has shifted. The Fever's front office, under the guidance of a leadership that clearly understands what it takes to build a winning culture, has shown that smart moves in free agency aren't just about acquiring talent.
Caitlin Clark flash show, so it's going to be phenomenal playing with a point guard, like you said, that have a good vision, on the court, because that's like as soon as she gets the ball.
They're about creating an ecosystem where players can thrive together. This is in stark contrast to the outdated image Sport Pulse once painted, where the locker room was depicted as a sinking ship doomed to repel any superstar who might consider joining. Behind every great team is a culture that values chemistry, commitment, and the relentless pursuit of excellence. For far too long, the Indiana Fever was unfairly labeled as a team with deep-seated internal issues, a narrative that served to keep top free agents at arm's length.
Already see the person down the court before she even get the ball in her hand. So that's one thing I love about her vision on the court. I really can't wait to catch all those passes and give her all the assists that she needs.
But as we now see, that narrative was more myth than reality. The Fever have transformed into an environment where every player is not only valued, but is also given the room to excel. This cultural shift has been driven by visionary leadership, a clear commitment to team building, and an unwavering belief in the collective over individual ego. It's almost as if the Fever have turned a new leaf, a leaf that sports insiders and fans alike are eagerly flipping through. Whereas Sport Pulse used to wax poetic about locker room woes and a toxic environment, the current scene in Indiana is one of celebration. Players are openly enthusiastic about joining the team, and the unity on and off the court is palpable. This isn't just a minor rebranding, it's a complete overhaul of the team's DNA. Consider the reactions from veteran players who have taken the plunge. In interviews, many have remarked on the high energy in the locker room and the genuine camaraderie that now exists.